The turmoil of Tulsa, Oklahoma happened in 1921. That is the period in which American history students are not taught about civil rights and Jim Crow and race relations and the South is bad. They're being taught about the World War I, the League of Nations, and the Great Depression. How do you squeeze in the Tulsa race riots when we're talking the Great Depression and the period between the wars? It doesn't fit the template. Now, there are the critical race theories. Others, well, the template's written by a bunch of white people, and they didn't want to talk about it. No. Those white progressives want to spend a lot of time on how the Vietnam War was bad and the civil rights movement was good, and pay no attention to the racist Kennedys of Massachusetts blocking school busing. Pay attention to the racist Southerners. And as they embrace critical theory, it becomes more complex because Oklahoma was not a state during the Civil War. It was the Indian Territory, and those Indians sided with the Confederacy. In fact, the Cherokee Indians kept slavery even after the Civil War. Did you know that? I bet that's not talked about in the history books either. If the white people are so bad, why aren't they teaching you that the Cherokee Nation kept slaves after the Civil War? Well, because that gets into the intersectional amalgamation of problematic coverage of history. When white people are bad, the oppressed Native Americans had slaves. It's got to be white supremacy, and that doesn't affect it. So the reason you don't know about the Tulsa situation is it just doesn't fit the template for how American history is taught. And it has nothing to do with white people wrote it. It has to do with there are some monumental events in American history. Pre-revolution, the revolution, the steam engine and the cotton gin, the industrial revolution in America, the Civil War and Reconstruction, Roosevelt and the Trust Busters, American growth on the world stage, World War I, Woodrow Wilson. You notice they don't talk about him being the racist that he was. World War II, and then you get into Jim Crow and civil rights. That's where you teach it. Tulsa came before that. Listen, the same progressives who want you to feel bad and think that the America is systemically racist and there is a national, international book publishing conspiracy to keep you from learning about Tulsa, Oklahoma, they're the very same people who want you to know all about it and show it as proof that we're a systemically racist nation. These are the same people who condemned Tim Scott, a black man who was elected by white people in South Carolina to represent the area of the nation where Fort Sumter resides, as first a congressman and then a senator, and those good progressives call him Uncle Tim. These are the same progressives who want you to ignore J.C. Watts, who was the first black man elected statewide in Oklahoma, and he happened to be a Republican, and then became the first black man as a Republican elected to Congress south of the Mason-Dixon line. Notice how it's the same progressives who claim there's some sort of government conspiracy that kept you from ever learning about Tulsa, Oklahoma, who are the same ones who don't want you to find out who Tim Scott is, or who J.C. Watts is, or who Bobby Jindal or Nikki Haley or plenty of other black or non-white Republicans are. It's not that there's a conspiracy, it's that they want to rewrite American history and focus on all the bad and very little of the good so that they can discredit the American experiment so that they can restart it in their image, which I don't think they'll ever be successful at, but they're not going to give up without a fight.